why Sanskrit is relevant today. Why it should be, I understand, but why do you think it is relevant in today's world?
The deeper sadhana, and Sanskrit becomes all-time relevant to all those who are seeking after the truth, all those who are seekers of knowledge, the true seekers of knowledge. So for them, this is a language is relevant for all the time knowledges. Here is a language where everything is well measured, well sculpted. That's why the very name, actually it's not a name, it's the epithet of the language, Sanskritam. It's a past passive participle form. So every past passive participle form is an adjective. So Sanskrita is an adjective which qualifies the language. First thing, like it's a language which helps us arousing or making us aware of the divinity which lies, the divinity of everything, Devatva, Divyata.
Namaskar and welcome to Tathastu Secrets of Bharat podcast. Today I have a very esteemed guest with me, Dr. Mishra, Sampadananda Mishra, who is, there is so much I can talk about him in the introduction, but I'd rather leave it to the content matter of our talk. So, Dr. Mishra, welcome to the show. It's a
Dhanyavad.
it's a
Happy
pleasure
to
to have you
invite
here.
you.
Really,
Thank
really
you.
welcome to the show. I was
Thank
referring to, I jumped straight to because I'm really curious and excited, jumped straight to the point that you made in your TEDx talk.
you. Mhm.
That Sanskrit is relevant today. Sanskrit as a language is very relevant today, which is contrary to the popular opinion, contrary to what we see in the society today. So, why Sanskrit is relevant today? Why it should be, I understand, but why do you think it is relevant in today's world?
Yeah. So, though I have put there, is Sanskrit relevant today? But in reality, Sanskrit is relevant for all ages, all time. The first thing is that, like one has to experience the beauty of this language, every aspect of this language. It's for me, I have been initiated or fortunate enough to be initiated to this language right from my childhood. Ever since I was born, there was an environment in which I grew up. Now, that environment gave me a different experience. I had a very different relationship with the language, not just Sanskrit, but in general language. And Sanskrit actually helped me go deep or deepened that experience where, like even now, it continues so intensely. I feel the core vibration, the purity of the vibration of the sounds, the rhythm of it. I mean every language has its own rhythm, has its own vibration. There's nothing which is devoid of a vibration. That's what is the realization of the rishis. But when it comes to Sanskrit, so the experience is very, very different. The kind of purity that one experiences in its sound, in its rhythm, in the sense of its meaning, and the kind of meaning that gets revealed if one contemplates on the words, on the sounds. So this is where I pursue my Shabda Sadhana. So for me, okay, there is a dictionary which I can refer to. At the same time, I can explain you little later how dictionaries are even redundant in Sanskrit. One doesn't need a dictionary. The meaning becomes very obvious if we get into the root sounds and the seed sounds and start going deep into the very uh, you know core layers of meanings which are associated with the sounds. So now this rhythmic aspect of the language, the intensity that is there in the rhythm of Sanskrit, the intensity which is there in the purity of the vibration of its sounds, and the secret of the many layers of experiences which are behind the sound. That's what always keeps fascinating me to go deep into this language and explore the deeper and deeper layers of it. So sometimes I feel there's no need to study so many shastras, and even one single word is enough. So to contemplate and carry for the whole life. That's the kind of experience that it gives, even a single word. And so that's where this is one aspect when it comes to the deeper sadhana, and Sanskrit becomes all time relevant. All those who are seeking after the truth, all those who are seekers of knowledge, the true seekers of knowledge. So for them, this is a language which is relevant for all the time, all ages. That's one thing. Then there is a practical value of learning this language. This practical value is that the way the language is designed, the very structure, the very design of the language. Now, see an architect creating an architectural, model. So there is a thought process which is involved, like why a certain thing has to be at a certain place or at a certain measure. Everything is well measured. So here is a language where everything is well measured, well sculpted. That's why the very name, actually, it's not a name, it's the epithet of the language, Sanskritam. It's a past passive participle form. So every past passive participle form is an adjective. So Sanskrita is an adjective which qualifies the language. The original name may be something else, maybe like one can call it, like usually we call it as Devabhasha. Devabhasha, sometimes it is translated as the language of gods, but that may create even sometimes problem. People ask questions: has anyone seen gods speaking Sanskrit? And then why gods need a particular language? So gods are gods because they should understand every language, because they do not look at the language, the grammar. It is the bhava which matters for them. So in that case, like it is better to avoid saying that it is the language of gods. At the same time, we can also explain like why it can also be called language of gods. So, but for me, first thing, like it's a language which helps us arousing or making us aware of the divinity which lies within, the divinity of everything, devatva, divyata. So, in that sense, this is the divine language. Okay. So, when gods are awake in us, okay, and then whatever language is most conducive to that God awakened person is the language, is the language of the God. So maybe in some very meditative state or in a different heightened consciousness, the rishis must be speaking. This language must be very natural to give expression to the deeper realizations, occult or spiritual realizations, or it was easy to give expression to these mystic, secret, occult, spiritual, deeper realizations. It was easy for the rishis who experienced this to systematize it or put it in a given manner, in a structured manner. So that was very. So that's why like this language is conducive to something which we can call divine or godly. So this was Devabhasha. So this Devabhasha is designed in such a manner, is sculpted to such perfection that it is called Sanskritam. So it is addressed as Sanskritam, that it is well done, well sculpted, sculpted to perfection, well crafted language. And this very design, like if we contemplate on the structure of this language, the design of this language, it offers so many things. Okay, its grammar, its rhythmic patterns, and its sense value, its phonetics. So all the aspects of language, if one takes its morphology, how the words are created, its phonology, the very sound, the seed sounds, its syntax, the very sentence formation, hmm, and its semantics, the artha. Hmm. So the sense value. So both the sound value and the sense value are very, very intense here. And what happens because of its design, it has a direct impact on the human consciousness. So because of the purity of the vibration of its sounds, it has a direct impact on our physical being, where the moment we start reciting certain mantras, whether bija mantras or any other mantras, or any sentence or any content in Sanskrit, so it starts impacting the physical being. It starts impacting the nervous system. So kind of healing starts, and there is a rhythmic aspect because Sanskrit is what you call Chandomayi Vani. It's a highly, intensely rhythmic language. You just speak Sanskrit, any word in Sanskrit. So anyone listens will feel that, like as if someone is singing something. And every word here is so rhythmic that you can set words into rhythm. Ramayanam, Mahabharatam. So you see the structure of the words is such that you can set it into rhythm. You just speak it, it sounds like you are singing. Okay. So there's a high intensity of rhythm here. And rhythm, like the music, helps, the music heals. This language being highly melodious, rhythmic, musical, chandomai, so it's a healing language from that point of view. And music also helps us memorize because rhythm is
Yes.
something, so anything which is set into a rhythmic mold,
Hmm. Hmm.
so makes things durable. So there is
Hmm.
a sense of immortality and durability. There's a
Hmm.
certain component of durability in the
Hmm.
rhythmic patterns. So that's why
Hmm.
one can easily remember the songs than a
Hmm.
prose passage, than a
Hmm.
list of things. Right?
Yes.
So it was easy there for the learners to memorize huge amount of texts, huge
Hmm.
amount of text because the rhythm mattered. So
Hmm.
now, if just imagine if the children are
Hmm.
exposed to Sanskrit right from their childhood
Hmm.
and a highly rhythmic language,
Hmm.
well structured language. Just
Hmm.
imagine how it must be impacting their thought process, what kind
Hmm.
of refinement it must be bringing to their emotional, sensational being, and
Hmm.
how it must be helping their cognitive abilities, developing their power of memory, their
Hmm.
grasping, retention, recollection, their
Hmm.
power of observation, their power of original thinking, concentration. This is what happens. And now if anyone, like I have experimented it on many children, like if the
Hmm.
child is very
Hmm.
hyperactive, actually,
Hmm.
or the child is a dull, so
Hmm.
just introduce Sanskrit. So on
Hmm.
one side, it calms down the hyperactive children. On
Hmm.
another side, it makes the dull ones dynamic. It's
Hmm.
very beautiful. That's what is the power of music.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if,
Hmm.
just imagine that if it has made the dull one dynamic,
Hmm.
it doesn't mean that it will make the hyper more hyper. No, it
Yes.
calms down. This is the
Balance it.
So it involves within itself, it reconciles within itself all contrasting aspects. It's highly structured, yet very flexible, immensely flexible. I give this example to many that just take any sentence. We say that English is very easy language to learn and grasp. So take example like my father goes to his office every day at 9 o'clock from my old home. Okay. Now, if this is the sentence, now you try changing the words, the order of the words in this sentence. Just see what kind of sentence it becomes. It becomes absolutely ridiculous, nonsensical, or absolutely, you know, it will be trashed. Just put into trash. But the same sentence you translate into Sanskrit, like Mama Pita, my father. Pratah Kale in the morning, Navavadane at 9 o'clock, Karyalayam Gachati, going to office, Puratana Grihata from the old house. Right? Now, all these words, Mama Pita, Pratah Kale, Pratidinam, every day, Navavadane, Puratana Grihata, Karyalayam Gachati. So all these different words you can jumble up and then put it anywhere in the sentence you want. The meaning will not change. Look at, like there is a very hardcore structure, yet this immense flexibility. How two contrasting components are reconciled here. You can put Gachati, Karyalayam, Pratidinam, Navavadane, Pratah Kale, Pita, Mama, Puratana Grihata. Or you can say Puratana Grihata, Karyalayam, Mama Pita, Gachati, Pratidinam, Pratah Kale. So there is no word order in Sanskrit.
So the meaning remains the
Meaning
same.
remains same. Why? Because it is an
Wow.
inflectional language. When you say Karyalayam,
Uh,
wherever its position may be in the sentence, it will
hmm.
mean to the school.
To
Because
the
the
guy. Oh.
position, like to,
Uh,
like Karyalay ko, that co
hmm.
you add. There is no additional element here. So this
Hmm.
prepositional sense is integrated into the word itself. That
Wow.
is what defines
Wow. Okay.
inflectional languages.
Okay.
Okay. So Karyalayam means to the school. You don't have a separate preposition for this.
So there is no structure like the English or the European
Yeah,
languages that
for
direct
example,
word.
you say like Navavadane,
Never
right?
Vadani.
Navavadane means at 9 o'clock. So you don't
9
need
o'clock.
to add, like in English, you add at 9 o'clock. If you
Hmm.
simply say 9 o'clock, in
Hmm.
Sanskrit it will become Navavadanam. If you say
Okay.
at 9 o'clock, it will become Navavadane.
Never
Right?
Vadani.
So the
Wow.
last sentence, last word will have certain changes there, but it's a part of the word. It's not separate word. Okay. So wherever its position may be, so it will remain. Meaning will remain same.
That is that.
So just like what kind of burden gets released the moment you say this, that I can use the language and
Hmm.
not follow the subject, object, predicate, the any fixed order here.
Yeah, it's
This is the way.
prepositions and the articles and so many things you have to remember, and
Yes.
there are no hard and fast rules.
Huh.
Talking about English.
Yet, if you go to the structure of the grammatical part of it, is a very hardcore structure it has. So on one
Hmm.
side, it offers the hardcore structure, very rigid
Hmm.
system. On another side, application side, you can find immense flexibility.
Hmm. Hmm.
These two
Hmm.
contrasting aspects, so it
Hmm. Hmm.
reconciles within itself into
Hmm.
its
Hmm.
perfect structure.
Hmm.
That's why
Hmm.
it's a language of very high order,
Hmm.
very
So I,
complex,
I
yet
have
very
I'm
beautiful.
getting few ideas listening
Hmm.
to you. One, why is it relevant? Because it's just something that is amazing that the thought just came to my mind. In the world driven by AI and artificial intelligence and machine learning, right? So far, all the AI and machine learning models, language models, they have worked upon English. The data sets is available in English. But I have heard that a lot of AI language models are beginning to read a lot of Sanskrit texts. Now, why we don't know, because they might, I think the largest repository, probably the biggest repository of Sanskrit text would be from our country, obviously. So they might be reading ancient text or whatever they could get their hands on. I think, correct me if I am wrong, because Sanskrit is such a perfect language in terms of its structure, it's consistent in terms of its rules, that an AI can learn Sanskrit and maybe devise another language based on the rules of Sanskrit. And maybe an AI or an ML would not need the languages of the world, because English and any other languages, that's a paper I read from Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, that the problem with languages is that the rules are very inconsistent. So the AI needs to be taught these inconsistencies and trained in these inconsistencies. They need to know all the exceptions,
Hmm.
and with Sanskrit, that problem is solved. If there are exceptions, then there are very strict and consistent exceptions. So AI would not have much problem devising its own language based on the fundamental rules of the Sanskrit language. That was the missing link that I don't know. I mean, it's just a hypothesis, but that makes it so much relevant why Europeans are teaching it in their universities, and the world is going crazy. Developers are reading. In terms of, you already moved to in that direction of why Sanskrit is such a healing language, because of its rhythmic structure, the sounds. Maharishis, the rishis and maharishis, they used they obviously they spoke in Sanskrit. How it came about, how the language was developed, that's a different matter. Sonic signature of mantras, and specifically bij mantras. What's the significance? Is it simply the sonic sound, so just the sound, and that is enough in itself? Or is there more to it? Like you said, Sanskrit is beautiful because it has both the sound as well as the meaning, and they work in tandem. So it's not just, for example, the word for anger, which is probably krodh, one of the many words would be krodh. The word krodh sound is not very nice. This is an example given by one of my Sanskrit teachers. I remember some of the examples. He said even the sound of the shabd krodh is a little not very nice. And this is what you just said. The sound and the meaning, they work in tandem.
Yeah.
So that's why we have the Bij mantras with no specific meaning to it. There is an inherent meaning that we realize when we rise in our consciousness. Or what's the secret of Bij mantras and the sonic signatures?
Hmm. See, when we uh, contemplate on the bija mantras, especially, what secret gets revealed is that these are not mere sounds produced through the vocal cords or through the means of certain uh, articulatory or articulation mechanism, but they are these are the sounds, especially like why Sanskrit becomes a very uh, wonderful language, because it contains the fundamental sounds of the creation, fundamental sounds of the very consciousness. You can say. So it captures. That's how the Varnamala is designed again. Designed in the sense there is a lot of conscious effort which has gone into the organization of these fundamental sounds. A particular structure has been given to it, and highly systematic and scientific in its nature. And these are the fundamental sounds in the sense that the human being, the human articulatory organs are capable of producing these fundamental sounds, the basic sounds, these 46 basic sounds, and plus 2 Anuswara and Visarga 48, and some additional sounds if you mix it, so 49, 50 sounds. These are fundamental sounds, the basic sounds. You can have again modified sounds, the variations of these fundamental sounds. That's how in various languages you have additional sounds. For example, like you can have a soft version of da, like you said, damaru, but ladki. The da is a soft version. But the fundamental aspect is da. So why fundamental? Because see, I'll give you one example. Then I'll come to the secret of these Vijay mantras and how different experiences are associated with these sounds. When I say ka, which is the first consonantal sound in the Sanskrit Varnamala. When you articulate the sound ka, you can see the root of the tongue comes in contact with the soft palate. So why this is a fundamental sound? Because below that, where from the ka is pronounced, that no other pure consonantal sound can be articulated. Pure consonantal sound. There can be again a modified expression which is possible below that, but a pure fundamental consonant. Consonant means like there has to be a solid contact. There has to be a, that's why consonants are called stops, mutes. You can hold on to it. Ka. Okay. That's why these are known as the sprishta, the sounds with contact. So you won't find one sound below, from a position below where from you are saying ka. You can modify this sound, but you cannot have another fundamental sound like this. So like this, all these sounds that one finds in Varnama, Sanskrit
Hmm.
Varnama, these
Hmm.
are the basic sounds.
Hmm.
Now when you say a particular sound,
Hmm.
then there are a lot of things which are associated with it. Even say for example, like if you look at the Varnamala, first you have all the vowel sounds. The vowel means asprishta. Asprishta means sounds without contact. That's the technical word which is used for the vowels. On one side you have swara, but technically it is asprishta because there is these are the sounds with no contact. One can experience it by saying there is no contact. So that's why these are the free flowing sounds. You can sing a vowel. You cannot sing or continue a consonantal sounds without adding vowel. So consonants are dependent sounds. Dependent sounds. They are not swatantra. And vowels are swatantra. Swayam rajate. That's why they shine by themselves. Self-shining sounds. That's why swara.